give me your best piece of advice. And that's it, Rory. Start before you feel ready. Now, I've got a few stories, especially as of late, but I would love for you to give a story that comes to mind that is something that you did that you started even though you didn't feel ready. You know, you felt the fear and oh, what the heck, you did it anyway.
It, it's kind of yeah, it is one of my characteristics, I suppose, in the first place. So one story, I mean, guitar was one where I just picked it up. Wasn't analyzing. I wasn't analyzing that I wanted to learn to play guitar.
Mm.
Otherwise, I might have just gone, oh, that doesn't sound nice. Put it down again. So I was not analyzing it. And I think that's the thing that comes up for me with this, but I just pick it up. I wanted to learn. I visualized myself whilst I was playing guitar. I didn't have any real other aspirations. It wasn't even like I'm going to stand up on a stage, although as I started to get more better and imagining um I was imagining like when I was playing the songs by other guitarists and bands, I'd just be off in a dream world, probably like standing on stage with them at points.
Yeah.
Um, and that was just like my imagination going wild with that. So that's one area that meant that I didn't really stop, and I was getting. I think cost and benefit is something to bear in mind with it. It's like uh I was just focusing on the benefits rather than any costs, and so the cost of that was me keeping my nervous system safe and not necessarily going and doing other stuff like learning how to communicate, create relationships with a space of, taking the courageous actions to learn how to speak in social situations, or just believing that that wasn't the type of person I was, and I was more artistic, and I'd just go back home and regulate on the guitar. And so that's one example. The other example could potentially be um, uh, going live. For instance, as an
Yeah.
example, whereby I actually knew the cost and the benefit. The cost was feeling the fear of it, but knowing that the benefit was that it was a quick way of me learning as I went along without having to analyze things again, and it was actually the simplest way.
Yeah.
It's actually the simplest way just to sort of write a description of what I'm going to say, and then or script it, if because that was the one thing that I could only do at that time, was to have any kind of words come up, was to have a complete script
Yeah.
and just be really wooden and press the button, because all it took was pressing the button and it was rolling, and there's no way of like recording a video and then watching it back going, was all of this kind of decision making to make. Obviously we want to make things better and better and better, but it's just the consistent pressing the button and doing it. And now I don't and now we're suddenly going live on my YouTube channel, and it's and yeah, I wasn't ready for that, because I normally make sure, because it didn't activate first time, and so when I reset it, I forgot to like check off the things that it and just go live on Facebook. So
Yeah.
it's just that thing of, it's an example of, it's got to that point where it's all automated, and I don't even feel that fear anymore, and it's more just exciting to
Yeah.
share, because all those processes are done in
Yeah.
that moment, and so we can just have these conversations. We practice like bouncing back information and deep listening and
Yeah.
referring back, and that's just like learning any relationship, any conversation. It's just a different dynamic of that. So how
Yeah.
can it be applied to anything really? Yeah.
Yeah. I love everything you said. The daily practice, the consistency, and also like the confidence, because we starting this, however long ago it was now, this rewire refresh and this idea of hopping on and being seen and being heard and supporting people that may not even have known that a breakthrough was going to come from a 10-minute video like this is super powerful. And yeah, even looking back at those times of you practicing with a script or even just an introduction, and to now just this improv is absolutely incredible. So bravo to you, and you are a shining example. The YouTube's pressing play here is hilarious because it's a prime live example of you may not have felt ready for that. And guess what? The universe has decided for you. So yes, amazing. And with that, and with some of the lessons and learnings of not feeling ready and doing it anyway, it goes back to my camp days. So going to Camp America 3 or 4 times, I've done summers in America. And maybe I didn't feel ready and I didn't know what to expect. And it was that uncertainty and the unknown. And I did it anyway. And, having that belief that everything happens for a reason, I got that camp and I went at that time and I met those people. And it's like a spider web or a spider diagram going off and off into that ripple effect. And it's just incredible. And the slogan for the main camp I was at, Camp How, was learn by doing. And of course, with the inner work, we love saying learn by being because we're not human doings, we're human beings, and it's the mechanics and the how can be quite easy. It's more of how are you showing up. So I like to say, how are you upgrading your presentation to the world? Is it bold? Is it confident? And when you're confident, everyone else is confident. So it's like, yes, Rory, I'm 100% confident. You work with me, you will get this result. Oh, right, okay. So there's no, oh, I don't know. And yeah, just recently I have leapt into a new venture, and it's amazing how the leadership side comes in. How are you showing up? How do you want to show up? And what is there to reflect on and build on? And I did this a couple of years ago. I had a really great idea of gratitude and building this. It was part of my group coaching with another coach of a stretch goal. So I know we've briefly mentioned here about a minimum target and a stretch goal. And that stretch goal was actually for 3 months, 90 days. And I completed it within 2 hours and 2 days. It was complete. And that was to sign 8 new clients on to this program, a 30-day program with the power of thanks, all about gratitude. And it's still available. I've refined it. It's phenomenal. It wasn't built. I signed people up to the vision and I built it as I went. Now, there is nothing that gets your bahookie moving than a deadline, right? So I had a choice, lead, show up, or, cancel it and refund everything, just have a complete meltdown. And so it's just interesting when you've got this idea and you change your idea into, just thinking into action, the impact that you make and you show up for the people, it just comes into this beautiful sense of service. I know we've spoken about if people are in business or entrepreneurs of selling, people keep saying to me, oh, but I don't sell, I can't sell. Service over selling. And so some people have been celebrating with me recently, which is amazing because it's like, oh my gosh, you have just earned £600 in 1 hour. Brilliant. Yes, that is brilliant. And that's not what I get out of bed for. I get out of bed to make an impact. And so it's that beautiful circle of money in my bank equals I'm making an impact, which fills my cup, which makes me a better leader and showing up, even if I don't have all the answers. So it's just really interesting at the minute in particular how you can really grow and build within yourself, and then other things will scale as well, and you'll leverage things in your business, in your personal life, whatever it is that you want to work on, relationships. And yeah, I was just reflecting on that when I got that question from a client this week of what's your best piece of advice? Grab the bull by the horns, hold on tight.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the word declaration comes to mind. I love that word. Um,
yeah.
because that's when someone's ready to or not ready to say what they want.
Mm,
And then that can be written down or it can be spoken. And it's
yeah,
the most precious thing that we have as a creative being um to act out something that we're saying. So we're noticing what we're saying as when we're saying it, noticing what we're declaring in any moment, um, and then being conscious of that when we're committed to that declaration,
yeah.
or I'm going to be committed to that declaration when I say it, and it really is a deep, convicted sense of that. Then the things work out what they are because but there's also declarations on stuff that are just kind of like on the outskirts of intention, which is kind of I like it, but I'm not sure how and or it's not that it's not wanted, but there's the science of commitment is when it's really like known that that's wants to be happening in
Mm,
life, and that either comes from a threat of something losing something completely or gaining something completely in that moment, and or if it's sort of more vague, then it's easy to be vague,
yeah.
ask a vague question, get a vague answer. So um I,
One moment, Rory.
oh.
Pausing. The dog is gonna want out. I apologize. Life is happening.
Life is now.
This is the thing when you have a little dog
Can
with
you,
you, they're like, I must go and see everyone.
okay. And yeah, you reminded me of the also the time when I was committing to doing an event as well, 21 Day Summit.
Yes.
And I hadn't enrolled any speakers the day before it was supposed to start because I kept
Yeah.
psychologically pushing it away because I hadn't gone to that level before. So
Mhm.
I wasn't feeling ready. I didn't,
Yeah.
I had too many criteria of how to hold that high, whereas actually I'd really only said it gets to be a 21-day summit with 21 speakers. That was the main criteria. Everything else was criteria that I was piling on to make it more difficult to start, feeling like I could enroll someone because I had too many criteria. So I had to strip it all back, and then within that time period, I enrolled 25 speakers in 22 days and recorded them and put them out there, and it all happened. But yeah, because of being held accountable for it, because I wouldn't have done that if it was just on my own as
Yeah.
well. So that's what you reminded me of as well. That and there's two more pieces to this that as you mentioned confidence.
Yeah.
We mentioned it before, but I like the remembering that that I define confidence by the it's the art of trying things out. And so there's no sense of doesn't have to be you don't have to feel ready pull to pull an arrow and fire it and aim for a target. You can feel scared and pull it. You can there's an amazing thing I learned from a mentor of mine who was talking about that, and it really that really hit home and remembered that it doesn't matter how I'm feeling whilst I'm pulling the arrows and keep practicing uh,
Mm,
whilst that's happening. So, but then
yeah.
the trying it out is the evidence that helps the subconscious to feel safe to do it next time. And as soon as we feel safe, we feel confident. Um, Really, at the end of the day. So it's only doing the same thing. We can either do it with courage or do it with confidence, but it's they're doing it and being it is important. And then the last piece around this that comes up for me is the sense of like looking at the art on the back wall there. That someone has said that's finished, and then passed it along. But there could be, who's to say what's finished and when? And so that could be something completely different. Like, in fact, there's two of them. So
Yeah.
what could have started, the one on the left could have been something on the way to the one on the right, or the other way around, and it's only like, oh, it's not that yet, so I want to keep doing that, or is it that, and so it's all snapshots in time. There's like, wherever someone's at, they know stuff from before, and they've got to here, and then they could always do something different or add to it or take things away. So at any given moment, there's only ready for now and ready um put something out there or do something. And so again, it's that analysis of what is finished and when, and or what could it look like to be finished. So if we know when it looks like to be finished, then we can declare that it's done from the declaration of making it happen in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's like that's just reflections on what's coming up for me. So we can be artists of whatever we want. Don't have to be an art creative artist. We can be that, like say, putting something out there, doing an event, or choosing to go and do something, uh 20 go on 20 dates or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and it doesn't don't have to feel ready to do it. So what is it that's wanted, and
Well,
get going.
yeah, and what's interesting with what you were saying there, and really to kind of anchor that in, of like the declaration piece, writing it down and speaking it out loud, very powerful. Your percentage of it being achieved skyrockets. Sharing it with someone, again, skyrockets that percentage of achieving it. And then there's the accountability. And when you have that accountability for this goal, that has a deeper meaning. It's not just wishy-washy and vague. You really want to achieve this and play full out. That is when it's 95% more likely for you to achieve it. Because when you declare something, that is like the most exciting thing. And also nervous as well, because you're like, oh my gosh, butterflies. You might feel a bit nauseous as well because you're like, I've just said that out loud. I've just shared it. I've written it down. Oh my gosh. Right. And that's where your bahookie starts to move because now you're going, okay, I've set a goal. Oh my gosh. And it's interesting you said about confidence because confidence usually comes from the results. And you probably at this moment do not have results. So that's where you get to be courageous, be that bold leader, fearless, fully committed no matter what. And that's where that accountability piece comes in. And that's what we did when you did the vision boarding with me. You declared your vision, and it's super powerful. Something to pin for next week or the week after, Rory, is this idea of what is it costing you? And that keeps coming up recently in conversations, not just as in monetary or, investment wise, but what is it costing you personally and others? And that's a really interesting piece. And then a few objections because happiness and mindset around money in particular and manifesting money is something that keeps coming up. And I know between us, we've got a lot of tools in our kit to share. So that'd be amazing. What a pleasure as always. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Yeah, so what have you got from this? Any highlights, any questions as you're watching? It When you pick something up and it's an insight, what do you get to do with it, even if it's just a tiny little repeating in your mind, writing it in the comments. It's not necessarily, about anything other than sharing back something that you've learned. When you learn it, you repeat it, you're likely to remember it and grow it. So exponential learning curve is repeat something straight away, then do it again twice later, then twice later, then twice later, then twice later. So the increments don't have to um uh be so close together. But that the optimum would be like a second, then 2 seconds, then 4 seconds, then and then it exponentially goes away, and then someone could become a master in of something, remembering something if they repeated it like that, just very simply.
Yeah.
But that's not exact life. That's metrics, but it's just the example. So that's why if you hear something that you've liked, stick it in the comments, share it, because it
Yeah.
will have a ripple effect of someone else reading that later, or bringing it to the top of something. So like, share, comment, everything, highlights, questions. We are here to just keep the ripple effect of useful content going forward. So thanks for watching. Much love and all.